T-minus 1 minute. T-minus 50 seconds. T-minus 40 seconds. T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Drunk Turkey Show. I'm Daniel, and your solo host today. I want to say thank you to everybody in the live chat already, everybody that's been waiting patiently. I was doing some last-minute adjustments to the map. Sorry to keep you guys waiting. Today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going over some of the maps and looking at possible routes that Kohberger may have taken, according to the probable cause affidavit. Let's see. Let's share the screen. I want to say thank you to all the members here. I see a lot of green in the live chat. If you're not a member, hit the link in the description. It says join. That'll help you out, and that'll get you to become one of our members. We typically do a members live maybe twice a month or so. Sometimes we'll do away some giveaways. I know we're going to be having one, I think this weekend, and we're going to be giving away something extra cool that I'll be showing you guys a little bit later on in the program. But we'll be doing that this weekend for a lucky member. So to be a member, just click that join button, and I'll be able to see more of those greens in there. Let's see. Alrighty. I want to say also thank you to all the mods. I know last time we had a pretty crazy show. I don't know what was going on. Let's try to keep it a little more respectful, please. Thank you guys for doing so. All right, let's start off with let's do some mapping and let's start off with the probable cause affidavit. Now, the probable cause affidavit states that the vehicle 1 was observed traveling westbound on the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive at approximately 3:26 a.m. So let's pull out the map real quick. I'm going to move this next to that. All right, so this white line that you guys see on the screen here is the oh crap, one sec. Oops. All right, so this white line here is the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive. All right, and this is the direction that the probable cause affidavit was stating that it was traveling, which was westbound. Now, one of the things that I have speculated was two reasons, right? And me and the guys, by the way, are putting together a little documentary type of thing going, about this case. And it's going to be the, our complete theory of how this occurred, why it occurred, the motive. And it's going to answer a lot of questions, in my opinion, from a completely hypothetical point of view, from our point of view. And we're hoping to have that out in the next couple of days. So make sure you're subscribed. But in there, in the documentary, we speculate that Kohberger could have been traveling from the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive for one or two reasons. The first one being is if he had left his residence or had left Pullman at 2:53, as the probable cause affidavit states, when he turned off his phone and left that area of Nevada Street and traveled directly and straight to the victim's residence, he would have gotten there at approximately 3:10, 3:13, the latest. Now, the Banfield kids were out there at that time. Now, from my understanding, is if he came directly from his, Pullman, he would have been traveling down this street right here, which is to the right of the Banfield from what we're looking at, where it says 45 red lot. And from here, we'll just get a ground view real quick. From here, he would have been able to have seen, as he traveled down this road, those kids in the Banfield over here parked with the police department. I believe he also would have been coming up down this road back here, which also would have had a pretty good view of the Banfield area and where the police officers had those kids stopped out at. And so if he's coming around the corner here and he's seeing these officers there, he may have left the area and been in this area waiting for those officers to return, right? Because right here off of the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive, you get a really good view of the back of the police department of the city of Moscow right here. And so my thoughts are one or two things. Either he saw those officers there, left the area, and came over here, saw maybe perhaps the undercover vehicle parked back here at the police department, and or maybe perhaps, one of my thoughts about this case is that this guy is very intelligent. He understood law enforcement investigative techniques that would have been used against him. He would have understood how law enforcement would have investigated him. The other thing I was thinking is maybe perhaps he knew that his vehicle was going to be on camera, and he wanted to come in from a different angle. If he came in straight from Pullman, you wouldn't expect him from coming in from this neighborhood. And so there's a good opportunity or possibility here that he may have been driving around trying to elude that investigation to make officers think that perhaps his vehicle was coming from east of town versus west, so to speak. But Kohberger is seen intersecting this intersection here at Steiner at 3:28 a.m. and then is seen pulling into the residence area and passing by the victim's residence at 3:29 for the first time. Let me pull this up real quick. All right, so Kohberger comes in and pulls around this apartment complex 3 times. Now, on the 4th time, he pulls in, and I suspect that, so we learned from the ABC podcast that from Xana's friends that it was a total Xana move for her to order DoorDash throughout, at random hours of the night. And if Xana was a type of person that often ordered DoorDash, I would think that she probably would assume that this area is kind of difficult to locate, right? Now, if you're not familiar with this area and you put in King Road is this road here. The road that the victim's residence actually faces, I believe, is Queen Road. Now, it's all sorts of craziness. It's weird out here, right? I actually haven't been out there myself, but from what I understand, it's a little confusing. So I would speculate to say and assume that a person that often orders DoorDash, that there's the possibility that they're going to leave an indicator on, such as a light, whether it's inside or outside of the house. Now, we know that the DoorDash, per the probable cause affidavit, states that the order was received at 4 o'clock, meaning that the food was dropped off before 4 a.m., right? Typically, your DoorDasher goes, drops off your food. By the time you're notified, your DoorDasher is already gone. So I would have assumed, safe to say, that the DoorDasher probably was there somewhere around 3:57, 3:58, dropping off the food by the time, Xana gets the notification that the food has arrived, and then goes from the upstairs bedroom downstairs to the front and picks up that food. Now, Kohberger passes by, I believe, like around 3:40, and then not again until 4:04. And so there's a good possibility that when Kohberger passed by at like that 3:40, 3:50 range, I think it was actually 3:50, that, let's just say that indicator was a light, right? Let's just say that when he passed by, all he saw was a light on. He would have had no knowledge that Xana had ordered DoorDash, right? And so for him, from his perspective, from his point of view, he's passing by 3 times, no light on. The 4th time at 4:04, light is off. So to him, it could be very well that he's thinking that these folks went to sleep. A lot of people are saying or speculate that, how could a DoorDash person have been there? Why would have Kohberger have gone into this house had he known there was a DoorDasher and that somebody was just there? Well, there's a good possibility he had no idea that a DoorDash was ever even dropped off. And so what we see in the Linda Lane footage, which I think the video aspect of it is real. The audio, I'm not too sure about, but the video aspect I do believe is real. And what you see is after 4 o'clock, Kohberger's vehicle begins to act erratic. And you see him do this weird turn here in front of apartment 52. He then turns and goes back in front of the residence of the victims here. And right here in front of the house, he either attempts to park or do another turnaround, but does it unsuccessfully. And then does a 3-point turn at the King Road, Queen Road intersection. Now, to me, I think that's an indication that nerves are already kicking in. It's go time. It's time to, he's made up his decision to commit this crime. And we can already see his nerves, taking place here, which kind of leads me to believe that this is probably his first time doing this, right? And it also makes me realize that there's a difference between, preparation and then committing the crime. During the preparation of the crime, there's no, the stress is significantly less. The adrenaline is less. You're not in the moment there. And once you're in the moment, mistakes can be made based on these nerves. So when people say like, oh, he left a knife sheath, he did this, he did that, he did all these other things perfectly, but during the time of the commission of the crime is where he made the most mistakes. Well, I guess we can get a visual of that right away from how this person is driving. Right now, he then does another pass around, right after he does the 3-point turn, and I suspect that he parks somewhere back here behind the victim's residence. Now, from what we know is that he is later seen at 4:20, traveling at a high rate of speed on Willensa Drive. Now, there's only a few ways out of this area. Well, let's see. Let's start turning those on real quick. All right, so here's the first one. Now, this is the fastest route that I could find that exits to Palouse River Drive, which is where the probable cause affidavit states that they believe that he had exited out of. Now, it says here that I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive and Costega Drive. Palouse River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds to Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, that road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman is approximately 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. All right. So why would they think that he went this direction towards Moscow if we know later on that his phone turns on somewhere south of Moscow, several miles south of Moscow, and that he didn't turn this direction. Well, I think there's one clue, and I think that clue is that he did turn that direction. He did turn towards Pullman, because there's cameras here at this intersection. So had he turned towards the highway to head south of Moscow onto Main Street, he would have been captured on several cameras. So here's the route I think he took. If you end up turning towards the direction that the probable cause affidavit states, but then turn a left turn here at this little fork here, you end up going into this big old circle, avoiding these traffic lights and popping out somewhere around where the pings or his phone comes back to being on in the, according to the probable cause affidavit, stated that he his phone turned on near Blaine, Idaho, off of 95, and the turn on would be, I assumed, I just put this, marker here myself, just because it was parallel to Blaine, but it's very much well possible that that marker turned on over here. Now, I suspect that the person that, if, and this is all allegedly, right? Bryan Kohberger is innocent until proven guilty, the whole 9 yards, and everything that we are discussing is absolutely, speculation, fact. I'll hit you with that. Now, it is in my opinion that the, that Bryan Kohberger, so even if he took this long route, right? He's seen at Walenta Drive at 420. To get to Blaine, Idaho, I believe it was like I don't know, but to get to this area was like 3 miles, right? Where I marked this ping at, or this marker. I think that was 3 miles from the victim's residence. And I think it would have taken all but about maybe 8 to 10 minutes to get there. Going this extended route only adds 2 miles to the trip. And I believe it was only maybe 3 or 4 minutes added to it. And the thing is, Bryan Kohberger's seen allegedly at 420, but the phone that should have only taken 10 minutes took 28 minutes to turn on. So I speculate that there's a good possibility that there is, at this night, he hit something somewhere out here. Now, I'd mark this point of interest right here, just because, in my opinion, I think it would have to be somewhere fast if he's going to go drop off something. I wouldn't think he'd go into the dirt area, just because he doesn't want to get stuck. You know what I'm saying? He has a front wheel drive car. I wouldn't have been surprised if he had seen this as an area that he can easily pull in, hide, any evidence, and then pull back out fairly quickly and get back on the highway without any worry of getting stuck or anything. But, he literally can put this anywhere, hide evidence absolutely anywhere. It's very, open. You can see for miles out here. Let's see. Now, forgive me for not looking too much into the live chat tonight, y'all. I'm running this solo today. So this is the route that, from my understanding, that Kohberger is alleged to have taken that night. Now, why take this entire route, right? Like, if his goal was to get out of there as fast as possible, get to his house, why not continue straight instead of turning off right here? You go right here. I'm sorry. Instead of turning off, man, I'm all over the place. I apologize, y'all. one of these areas, instead of you turning off, you can go straight, and that'll take you straight to Pullman, just as the probable cause affidavit indicates, that there is a road that goes straight into Pullman, and that it would have taken him there probably about 10 minutes. Now, why not go that direction and get there faster? You know, him being out there just shortly after the crime gives him the, he's out in the open, right? There's a good possibility that he could get, stopped. He gets pulled over quite a bit. There's a lot of traffic and body cam footage that's out there about him getting pulled over. So, him going on this crazy route, what would be the point? And I think he understood that his car was going to be seen, and he knew that law enforcement was going to be looking for a white car. He knew he didn't have a front license plate, and that they were going to be looking for a white car without a front license plate. And if I was investigating this crime and I saw somebody, I saw the video, and I saw a vehicle traveling at a high rate of speed, that I suspected that the person that was operating that vehicle was the, a person highly likely to have committed that crime, if they're going to try to get out of there and get to their point of destination as fast as possible. And that if that point of destination, or if they're, the area that they're trying to get to is in Pullman or past Pullman, I'm expecting to see that white Elantra pull into Pullman on their traffic cams, 10 to 25 minutes after the crime. I'm not expecting the vehicle to pull in, over an hour later. That wouldn't make sense as an investigator, right? And early on in this investigation, the focus probably isn't, this person has law enforcement experience or understands how this person, how they're going to be investigated. In fact, early on in this investigation, it was rumored that this was a target event because one of the victims had, more injuries than the others, which I think may have been a planned thing, not because of, Kohberger having some sort of connection to said victim or anything, but I think it was done in efforts to elude law enforcement. And so to make them think that this was something that was personal. And when things that are done personally, think that they're not very well planned usually. And so you would expect somebody to be traveling directly home or wherever they were going as fast as possible. Now, a probable cause affidavit states that the following day, which I do want to talk about a couple of things in the probable cause affidavit, and I want to get y'all's opinion on. According to the probable cause affidavit, with Bryan Kohberger's phone is moving at 247 or 242, right? Turns off at 250 something, and it is suspected that he committed this crime. Either way, his phone comes back to the network at 4:48, and he gets home roughly at about 5:40, right? But by 9 o'clock the next morning, he's back, or he's leaving his apartment, going back to the area of the victim's residence. He goes back and is at home by 9:30, and by noon he is in Clarkson, Washington, and Lewison, Idaho. And so, and then he's not just out here, but he's out here for a while, and then he goes home. But on the way home, he stops, and his phone stops reporting to the network again for 3 hours, from 5:30 to 8:30. Now, unless, there's the possibility that Bryan Kohberger was asleep, early on November the 12th and woke up late, in preparation of being, up and around for a significant amount of time. But if he wasn't, if, November 12th, if he was, living his normal life, woke up that morning at, it's a Saturday, so let's just say 10 o'clock that morning, he's up and around and driving around through these areas that are, obvious. They look a little bit boring to me. These areas that you would think somebody would fall asleep in. And he's up for a significant amount of time after committing a quadruple homicide. Yeah. I don't know, man. That seems kind of tough. I think somebody would have to be on something to be up like that. What do you guys think? Put something, write a 1 in the comment section if you think that is, if you think that's possible. Put a 2 if you think that he'd have to be on something for it to be true. One, it's, well, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that poll. I don't like it. Put a 1 if you think that that's impossible to do and that it wasn't Kohberger. Put a 2 if you think that it is possible, and put a 3 if you think that Kohberger had to have been on something to do that. There we go. I like that better. So 1, it's not possible. 2, it is possible. 3, he had to be on something. I find it's really weird. When I went through it, I was like, man. So the votes are, because Bryan Kohberger had to have been up from like pretty much 2 o'clock in the morning, not knowing when he was up earlier than that, but 2 o'clock in the morning, commits a quadruple homicide, is up and around throughout the morning, going back and forth, goes to Moscow, comes back. And then shortly after that, he leaves and heads towards Lewiston, Idaho, which is another hour away. And he doesn't end up getting back home until after 8:36. That's a long time being awake. So either that's a lot of coffee. I don't know. I guess somebody can do that, but I find that difficult. To be accomplished without being on some sort of on something. And so, y'all let me know. Does that sound odd? But according to the probable cause affidavit, Bryan Kohberger turns his phone off in the area that they indicate that he was at shortly after the crime. And so let's highlight some of these areas. Now, if this was the route that Kohberger took shortly after the crime, right, to get around and get back on the highway, to elude the cameras and to also hide possible evidence, could he have gotten, because this is the road that he headed back home the following day after leaving Washington, Clarkson, Washington. There are some roads here that does lead back to this area. And, if I was a betting man, I would say that those 3 hours were enough time for him to drive out here, pick up something that he may have discarded, and then go properly discard it somewhere in the vastness that's out here. It is just land for miles. And then get back home. But you know what? I'm going to take a quick break, y'all. While I do that, I'm going to show you guys a video. I'm going to go get a water real quick. I'll be right back. This is our little Frenchie Nelson. Nelson was the runt of his litter. And unfortunately, he was diagnosed with IVDD, which resulted in him losing the ability to move his rear legs. Now, we were left with a couple of options, one being put Nelson down, or 2, go through a costly surgery, which wasn't guaranteed to work. We gave Nelson that chance, and we went through the surgery. And fortunately, today he can walk, and he's not 100%, but he's getting there. Through rehab and continual rehab, we think he may. Those bills are extensive and continuous. In efforts to lower that financial strain, we've decided to do a raffle. This raffle is going to be of a 4x3 handmade quilt. This quilt was actually made by my mother-in-law, and so high quality. I think you'll love it. It's a rescue themed quilt. So how do you enter? There is a $5 entry to get into the raffle. All entries will be through Cash App. $Drunk Turkey Show to enter. In the description, make sure you put your shipping address and your name. If you want to put in multiple, you can do so. You can send in, for instance, 25 and also put in the description 5 entries. The raffle will be on August 28th. The winner will be chosen at random by a wheel selector. Don't need to be present on the live. Good luck and thank you. Hey, so I saw somebody saying they got a little bit of intel on the map. They do me a favor and email me that at drunkturkeyshow@gmail.com. I'd love to take a look at that. And so, but that was the raffle that's going on. You still got time to enter into that. In fact, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be doing something a little bit different and special. We're going to be selling something, guys, our own merch. Hold on a second. There it is. So these guys, these are these slap-on koozies. So, man, I shouldn't have done that so loud. That hurt my ear. But basically, that's how they work. This is actually a green beverage. So if you're interested in one of these, we're going to be selling these for $12 each. I think it's going to probably do a $3 shipping on that. So it comes out to about $15 shipped. If you're interested in one of those, tonight for the next 24 hours after the show, whoever buys one or pre-orders one will also put you in the entry for that raffle. And so, you get a koozie automatically and you get entry into the raffle. All you got to do to get one of these is go to our Cash App as well and send us $15, and in the description put your shipping information, and we'll send those out to you probably in the next 5 days or so. I'll put this back up here so you guys can see it. And so that'll be for today. It has our face on them. So go check that out. Check it out on, like I said, through the Cash App. And anybody in the next 24 hours that orders these, will also put you into the raffle for the quilt as well. And so good opportunity to get into both things. A good chance that you could win that quilt. That quilt's going to be raffled off on August 28th. So good luck, everybody. Yeah, let me pull up my email real quick, just in case somebody sends me something. And for the end of the show, I'll do a little Q&A just with you guys and see what you guys got going on. One second. Oh yeah, I've seen these pictures. Okay. Yeah, let me know if you guys send me anything, and we'll do a little Q&A. I've been up all day and I've had my contacts on, so these I'm having problems actually reading anything anybody's saying, but I'll try my best. Why would BK go drive around in the middle of nowhere, no GPS? Was he not worried about getting lost? He'd only lived there a few months. Did he know the area that well? You see, that's the thing. You would assume that if he was driving around aimlessly for that amount of time without his phone, that he would have known the area that he was at. And if that was the area, why would how can I put this? He was in a back area for a while, and I think that there's going to be indication of him being in that backwoods area, in that rural spot. Like the defense is going to say that he has a history of doing this. I think we're going to see that also, and I think that was him learning those back roads. But you're absolutely right. If his alibi is that he was driving around throughout the night, he never put where. So was he driving around Moscow throughout that night? Was he driving around the back roads in the area? Yeah. It's a good question. Good comment. Give me a second. Um, so the ABC podcast, we heard that said BK signed the extradition paperwork with his left hand. Court order sketch shows him sign it with his right hand. Yeah, I saw that. It was interesting. I don't know. I don't know if he's right-handed or left-handed. I know there's another image of him that has come out. Mikey actually sent it to me, where he was in a I think it was from that one James Farrow kid or Fiaro kid who was his lab partner. He took a picture of Bryan Kohberger writing something down in a notebook, and it appeared that he was right-handed. So I don't know. Maybe perhaps the ABC podcast got that one wrong. There's a good chance. Let's see. Vic Star says, did he drive by again during the day, but with his phone on? That is what it is indicated, that he was back in the area at between 9 and 9:30, I believe, for a few hours there. Oh, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Let's see. I'm going. All right. Nothing in my email yet. Just kind of checking that out. I don't know why StreamYard's bugging out again. But I'm hardwired in this time, so I know that it is what it is. So, but yeah, I think this is I think this is where law enforcement probably should be targeting this area. However, I do think that hiding whatever evidence he had somewhere between here and Pennsylvania there are many even better places for him to do so. So I wouldn't be surprised if he visited back to this area and grabbed whatever evidence he may have, hid again, and then taken it with him on that trip and left it somewhere. But that maybe because his father was with him, and I think that his father, I don't think his father was aware of this. In fact, according to reports that are out there, it seems that his father was at his defense. Let's see. Do I think that the trial will be televised? I hope so. I do. I don't know. When did he turn his phone back on? He turned his phone back on at 4:48 a.m. When he was south of Moscow, near the city of Blaine, Idaho, off of 95. And so he was somewhere in this general area when he turned his phone on. It's not very specific. I would suspect that it would have been sometime after this intersection here. Let's say. All right, left hand, but my right arm is dominant. Yeah, actually, Peter King from football analyst, he's the same way. He throws a football and throws a baseball and things of that nature with his right arm. However, when he writes, he's left-handed. So, yeah. Let's see. So as you just stated, it shows a pattern. His phone's off. Was that you guessing? Oh, it was. The only thing that we know of for a fact that his phone was off was the two occasions when, the night of the incident, when, during the commission of the crime was happening. And then the following day when he's in the area where he was at when his phone turned off or turned on. And so, one person can say, the defense is going to come out here and say, that's a habit of him driving around aimlessly without a, with his phone off. They may even go as far as saying that, he prefers, peace and quiet when he drives. Doesn't like to get notifications of any sort, not even Amber alerts. And so he decides to turn his phone off to elude those type of notifications instead of, just going into airplane mode or whatever the case may be. And, he can say those things. And if there's evidence of that, on multiple occasions, that's what he's going to say. But the defense or the prosecution, I'm sorry, is going to say, well, no, it just so happens that every time he turns his phone off, he's in the same area. Is it because he's trying to hide something from the same area? If everywhere else that he's driving, his phone is on, because as we can see, he made this very long, weird route, with his phone on, for no apparent reason. If he was lost and his sole purpose was to get back home and his phone turned on here and he was like, all right, let me turn on my GPS. Well, his GPS would have told him to turn around and to go this direction back to Pullman or through one of these back roads. I highly doubt that the GPS would have recommended this route. That would have taken about an hour to get back home. And so he turns his phone on and goes this route. That tells me that he was familiar with this route, that his GPS had no weight in his decision as to go on this route. So he was familiar with this route. He knew this route. Like I said, this isn't a route GPS recommends. So he must have been driving this area multiple times. And I would think so. I mean, he's wanting to probably time himself, things like that, to make sure that he's going far enough and long enough that when he does get back to Pullman and his phone does come back on cameras, it's not during a time that law enforcement is looking for his vehicle. Right. And so, those are my thoughts on why he's gone this far around. I have me and the guys have put together this, like I said, this little documentary thing that we got going on. Now we haven't finished it yet. I just finished up the script for it. We got to, put it together and then do some editing. So I anticipate it being out probably in the next maybe 5 days or so. I'm gonna try to get the boys together, in the next couple of days to put the words down so we can start putting, the visual edits together, maybe Thursday or Friday. But yeah, that's what I got here. Let me see what else you guys got from. There's one highway to Lewis and Clarkson. Yeah, there is. The thing is, from my understanding, from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, it's approximately like about 45 minutes to an hour of a drive, I think. It's not very long, right? And his phone turns off when they say that he's in the area of which he was at, shortly after the incident, right? And his phone is off from 5:36 to, I believe it's like 8:36. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Right here. So it says here at 12:36 p.m. That basically Kohberger's phone is providing services for Kate's Cup of Joe Coffee in Clarkston, Washington, right? So if he was leaving at about an hour before then he left his house before the 911 call came out. to go to Washington. I wonder what was going through his mind during that drive, because 911 hadn't been called yet. There was no knowledge of this. So at 12:46, the phone is utilizing data for the area of Albertson's grocery. They see him on video to determine that's, showing him on video is just basically and saying that they see him there is corroborating the accuracy of the phone locations, right? They're saying that, hey, we have Bryan Kohberger, based on our information here. It says that he's at this store, based on the cast technology or whatever. He's at the store. Now we have video evidence of him at the store, so it corroborates and it shows how accurate that stuff is at. All right. So it says here that between approximately 5:32 and 5:36, that the phone is utilizing coverage to Johnson, Idaho. Then it stops reporting to the network at 5:36 p.m. to 8:30. That is consistent with the phone being in the area that the phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time of the homicides occurred. Now, I'm curious as to where his phone was at when it turned on at 8:30. Well, did it turn on at his house? That would leave us to believe that he was only out in that area for a short period of time. Did it turn back on, at Bugsby, or I don't know if I said that right. Busby, I'm sorry, not Bugsby. I apologize. Where did that phone turn on at 8:30? Turned off in Johnson, 5:30. Now, there's a possibility, because like I said, there's a 28-minute area. There's 18 minutes that's basically missing, in my opinion, between the time that Kohberger is seen leaving on Wilenta Drive and his phone being turned on south of Moscow. Now, he could have traveled this route, and this is just the fastest route to turn around and come back this direction. He could have gone further. He could have gone, continued down this red path here, and then turned down this red path, and then turned back and gone around that direction. And, maybe that makes up some of the time. And he could have discarded something way further out, closer to the highway, going back into Pullman. I don't know. And if he did that, and let's just say he hid he discarded, evidence somewhere around this direction here, or maybe not so close to the homes, but shoot, he could have gone as far as out here. It's not that far. It's only a few miles between. In fact, let's measure it so we are accurate. From the way the crow flies, it's 3 miles. So you're probably looking at a total of maybe 6 miles. That's 12 miles, about 50 miles an hour. So, that could be where the 18 minutes is made up, from here to there. Well, that's one direction. And so, he'd have to go back too. So, that doesn't make sense. So from here to here, yeah, it's not that far. It's 2.5 miles. And if he is turning off his phone here at 5:30 and he's got 3 hours, he can easily grab this, whatever he's hiding in this area. He doesn't even have to hide it back in this area. He can go way over here, anywhere. I mean, it's just a lot of open area. Let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, the phone comes going back south of Moscow. Sarah, send that to me in an email. I'll check it out, and if it's something that I can, is kind of vet a little bit, or it seems reasonable, I'll share it. Happy Hippie says, I don't care what anyone says. He did not do this alone. Impossible. Maybe. I mean, I think that is quite possible that he could have done it alone. I think that the fact that nobody else has been arrested is a big indication that he did it alone. Um, they have his phone device. They have his equipment. I think there would be some sort of communication between Kohberger and somebody else that he trusted enough to commit this crime. And I think law enforcement would have found that by now, and I think that person would be in jail. Mary Stiggles, I sent you a pic of BK using his right hand to write. Yeah, I've seen, and that's what I said too. I've seen pictures of him using his right hand. And so I'm not sure, maybe perhaps they were just mistaken. Is the route south the same route he used in the beginning of his route? Yeah, December 15th. It's possible. I'd have to see, because I know that he was seen in Colorado. Is where, let's see. I think it was when they were discussing the vehicle, and they were talking about the times that he got pulled over. That's where it's at. All right. October 14th, detained by a stop. 18th. Right here, investigators still believe that he's driving the white Elantra because he was captured in Loma, Colorado. Okay, let's see where Loma's at. I would say that the fastest route there would probably be going through Lewiston. Just seeing. So Loma's down here. It may be hard to see, but it's almost directly south. I mean, it's southeast, but I would assume that the fastest route through there would probably be going through Lewiston and Clarkston, and then catching some major highway out that direction. And so I believe he would have taken this portion of that route. This yellow one heading south through Johnson, Colton, Unionton. And then I think at Unionton is where it breaks off and goes this weird route to Clarkson. So yeah, I do think that partially of that trail would have been through there. Let me double check my email real quick. There it is. All right. I got your emails, but I'm not seeing anything other than saying that you have intel. Tara, I got your email. Thank you, Tim. I think I can't wait to get your opinion on it. I do read most of your comments, if not all of them. Sometimes I don't get notified of every one of them, but when I do see yours, I do try to read through them. You take the time to write them out. I look through them. Let's see. Oh yeah, hit the like button, y'all. Hit the like button. I know this was like a little impromptu show, but I wanted to get this out and kind of get, you guys, give you guys a my opinion on things and my thought on what's going on here. That way, when we do the documentary and it comes out, makes a little bit of sense. Yeah, let's get that likes up. Let's get those likes up. What's about? There's no lost wrench here. Mr. M. Foster says he may have turned it off at 4:32 for a few minutes to get his bearings, possibly coming out of a forest in the dark. Would have been probably close to being right after sunset that time of year. But he turned it off for 3 hours. It was off from 5:32 to 8:30. And at night, I'm gonna probably answer maybe 2 more. I'm having trouble seeing them, to be honest with you. My eyes are drier than Arizona right now. My contacts make it hard to see. Let's see. Hasbro says if I took someone's life left-handed and got caught, I'd be writing with my right hand. Yeah, that's true. But here's the thing though, like it would have to be that way, right? It would be very difficult for it to be the other way, where somebody who's right hand dominant goes in there and attempts to commit a crime left-handed, so that to elude investigation, right? Or investigators, to make them think that you're left-handed, right? I think that there would be evidence of that, that somebody was trying to cover that up. And but yeah, I think that you would commit the crime with your dominant hand and then try to switch it up the other way. Thank you. I appreciate that, Just Dan. Hey, what's going on? And my wife. Makes you wonder, do you turn your phone off for the life taking and then turn it off again when you're disposing of all the evidence? You see, I think that's probably what he's doing, if that's my assumption, at least, is that he turned off his phone. The first time the phone is turned off is to elude the investigation, obviously. And then he turns it on after he disposes of evidence. If he did commit this crime and he's out there and turns his phone off again, it would be, in my opinion, that he's either revisiting the scene. I mean, it could be some weird sick thing, could be going back just to, relive his, the crime that he made, he committed, and then re-hid the evidence wherever he put it. But I think that he picked up the evidence and disposed of it somewhere else. That's a great question, Robert Porter. Ask, where was he when his phone turned on at 8:30? I have no idea. That's the question I would like to know. But we had on a lawyer yesterday, Mr. Zach Lutz. I highly recommend going back and checking it out. He wasn't too familiar with the case prior to. I had to fill him in as we went along. But I wanted to get his perspective on a lot of things, and I think I got a lot of answers for the legal aspect of this case, and some that are still there's still questions about. Like, for instance, we spoke about the probable cause affidavit stating the evidence that was used, or to get Bryan Kohberger's historical phone locations. And he agreed with me that he felt that that wasn't enough, just because he had special training that would have had him, that would have helped him elude the investigation, doesn't necessarily mean that he committed the crime. There are hundreds of students, if not thousands, in that area that are in criminal justice or have studied criminal justice or in law enforcement. And so, just because they are aware of those, techniques or how law enforcement is going to investigate them, doesn't give, prosecution the right to invade somebody's privacy and their rights. And so, that was one of the questions that I had. But another question that I had was, when would we expect, the defense to file motions to suppress that evidence, given the fact that, the evidence is sort of weak? And he said that would be happening now. I'm concerned because it's not happening. So maybe perhaps there is more evidence that we're not aware of that was used to acquire that search warrant. I struggle to see it, but we'll see during trial. Because, myself and Zach, we had a conversation. We both think that there's a good possibility that Bryan Kohberger may have committed this crime. But he's also a defense attorney, but he thinks that there's a, after speaking with him and explaining the majority of the evidence that we're aware of, he's concerned about the strength of the case as well from a prosecution standpoint, especially when, if there's the possibility that, the state won't, may not use or there's a possibility that those historical phone locations get thrown out, based on the warrant not being that strong. If that happens, I think there's a good opportunity that this is going to be a lot tougher than we expected. Also, the fact that there's no DNA in the vehicle, it's going to be a tough case, y'all. It's going to be a tough case, but we'll see how it goes. I think there's a hearing on the 18th referencing the grand jury. Apparently there was a guy on the grand jury or gal, I don't know if it was, the gender of the person, but there was a person on grand jury who didn't even speak English. I think that could be an issue. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Idaho laws and how they, how they work when it comes to how they pick out a grand jury, but I'm interested in seeing this court. We're probably going to talk about that during the time if it ends up going live, or is aired. We might go live during that time. If not, we'll talk about it Friday night. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, myself and Big Blue, we'll be talking about a new case and some other corruption that we think could be going on. It's not related to the Idaho murders, but it is from the Idaho area, I believe. So Washington area out there. So stay tuned for that one. Also, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe and ring that notification button. We're trying to get to 40,000, y'all. Once we hit 40K, I told everybody the aviators are coming off. I'm looking forward to it. I'm kind of tired of looking at screens with my sunglasses on. So let's see. What's your thoughts on Bryan not having a shower curtain in his apartment or bathroom? Yeah, here's the thing. He was gone for a long period of time. I think he took it down for sanitary reasons. I don't think it was necessarily affiliated with the crime, but because he didn't leave for about a month after the crime. So if he would have used the shower curtain as a tool in the crime, then we're to believe that he didn't have a shower curtain for a month. I don't think those things match. I mean, there's a good possibility that he used the shower curtain, but I think that either he never had one and he had maybe just a liner, or he took it down because he knew he was going to be out of town for a while and didn't want it to create mold or something. I'm not sure, but I don't know. It's a weird one. It is a weird one, but that's going to do it for me today, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow night with Big Blue, and we'll be talking more true crime. So with that being said, y'all be safe out there. We'll see y'all then. Peace out.